Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the world you are in. This is the Big Girl Diary. And I got a good one for you today. Okay. Amber Heard. Yes. Amber Heard is back. The golden goose. The gift that keeps on giving. When you think she can't give anymore, she digs down in that bag and pulls out another gift. I'm doing this video because I did a poll about Leonardo DiCaprio, Evan Rachel Wood, and Amber Heard about who was the worst. That was it. The worst. I didn't say uh, Amber Heard being abused, being abuser, none of that stuff. Just the worst. Now, Amber Heard fans put abused in there. Not I. No, they did. So, I'm going to keep this quick. Whenever you get caught up on an ideology and you hold on to that ideology, that if that is begin all or end all, or there cannot be different shades of gray within that ideology, it's either black or white. And if you don't fit into those two categories, you're either right or wrong, and that is it. Amber Heard, they're saying, was abused, and Johnny Depp was her abuser. Now, if you want to find out why people voted Leonardo DiCaprio, I think he was 87%, somewhere around there. Evan Rachel was 5%, and Amber Heard was 11%. You can check out my videos in Big Girl Diary, and you can see. Okay, now these tweets. Oh my goodness, they were a little genteel. They were genteel, but I thought it was quite interesting. Okay, let's take a look at it. Oh, and if you want to donate to me on Cash App, Big Girl Diary, or PayPal at Big Girl Diary, please do so. It would help my channel and it helped me to reinvest in this business here. Appreciate you. Oh, and also, Lauren Lister, thank you so much for your donation. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. All righty. Let's get to it. Now, here I'm going to start off with this post here. I don't want to dox anyone, but here you can see this post where Depp is a wife beater, and they're still looking at the judgment over in England that had nothing, and I'm going to say this again, it had nothing to do with Amber Heard. It was about what the Sun said, about what Amber Heard said in the Washington Post. That was it. And they're taking that and saying, okay, this is the reason why she should have won because of this. No, stop it. Stop mixing apples and oranges to prove a point. Don't do that. Use apples with apples, oranges with oranges, but you don't mix the fruit. Okay, I'm done. All right, here. Now, I'm still a little bit, I'm not quite sure where this person was going with this. But it says, if you think this monster is innocent when he drugs his wife and admitted that he's the cause of the problems in his addiction, and throws bottles at partners, and more than 400 experts in DV agree that he's the aggressor.
Did actress Amber Heard snort cocaine live in court? A suspicious clip of Amber Heard in court has raised alarm bells from tweeps who are suggesting she may have snorted cocaine during her live testimony. The clip.
Well, thank you very much. I'm not an abuser. You're taking 400 experts. Look, to actually sit down with a couple. I don't know who these experts are. Any and everyone can say that they're an expert, and that's very disingenuous at best. That was dispelled in the court case. He didn't throw the bottle at anyone. Okay, here. Another one. WTF are two domestic violence survivors doing on this list? Um, I have no idea how to respond to this. I truly don't. Because I know domestic violence survivors. I've helped them. I stayed in people's houses because they were afraid to be by themselves because of their abuser. And and keep in mind, women are abusers too. Please don't put all this on men. Stop it. Because Amber Heard, and when I put that tweet out about Amber Heard being a wife beater and a husband beater, um, crickets. Not one of you replied to that. Not a one. Crickets. And shown pictures. Her and Elon Musk. He has a black eye on the left eye. Johnny Depp has a black eye on the right eye. You can't make this up. Van Ree, she didn't have a black eye. Her arms. Oh my goodness. Cara Delevingne, she had a mark on her right eye. Uh, uh, Evan, Eve Bartlow, she had a straight out one right here while smiling. And then you see pictures of Amber Heard slobber knocking her in Israeli, what is it called? A hotel. And then the security came up to break them up. And Amber Heard is in the guy's face with a brawl on, telling him that she's a paying customer, and went back to slobber knocking Eve. But that right there goes unnoticed. You push that aside because it doesn't fit in your ideology. You need to broaden your ideology and be a bit looser with it. Okay. Again, two victims of domestic violence and rape, or a man who dates teenagers. This is a weird poll. No, it is not a weird poll. It is not a weird poll because it is something that really needs to be discussed. Now, if it's weird to you, I agree. As I tweeted back to you, no one talks at all about Jerry Seinfeld dating a 17-year-old Shoshana. I remember that. Oh, I remember that. I'm older than Shoshana and way younger than Jerry Seinfeld. And I couldn't believe he's taking this 17-year-old girl in high school out on a date. No one said anything about it. Not a one. How comes you're not screaming him down? Also, Steven Tyler, he wrote it in his book. You're not screaming him down. You all have selective outrage and selected people who you choose to defend. A poll consists of two victims of abuse and a dude who keeps seeking out women. Okay. I respect your opinion. Why do I stand for abusers? No, I don't stand for abusers. I don't. All right. Stop victim blaming Amber. Amber is not a victim. On what planet do you see Amber Heard being a victim? I'm waiting. I should have did this one live. Okay. When Amber stood up on that podium with all those women that have been victimized, and I would say that majority of them were there because they were victimized or were victims of domestic violence, whether it was due to the hands or a man or a woman, and there were people in there that were supporting. When she got up there, she made herself the face of DV. She did. And it came out that she was abusing Johnny through the video, through the tapes, through the trial. I mean, come on. All right. Okay, one person says tough call, and I appreciate this person taking the time to get out of their. Well, let me go ahead and read it first. Tough call. We're only at the beginning to see how eye deep and crap Leo is. Yeah. Okay. AH and ERW are evil women. Okay, I should have waited for sure. Oh my goodness. But but what we know so far, I'm sure much more will come out. And that's about Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh man, much more is going to come out about that. Well, I'm at the end of that. Now I'm going to get to the video real quick. And it's going to be interesting. Okay. Okay, this is talking about the abuse, the alleged abuse, and Amber Heard is going to get cross-examined on this, and I'm going to jump around and not make this video too long.
Top of me, no phone, but screaming the same thing, end quote, right?
I just remember the sound, yes.
But you remember.
And they're talking about the telephone, how he took his phone and smashed it. But we're going to get to that part.
And you testified to this jury that he didn't have the phone in his hand anymore.
When he was assaulting me with the bottle,
Right.
He had the bottle in his hand. When he was punching the wall with the phone, he had the phone in his hand.
Okay, now, okay, look. Come on. He's assaulting her, right? He has a bottle in one hand and a phone in the other, smashing it, having a bottle, and assaulting her. Okay?
When he was punching the wall next to my head, he had me by the throat. He did a lot of things that night.
So you're
Okay. You can't make this sugar honey iced tea up. He has the phone in her hand. I mean, he has the phone in his hand. He has the bottle in his hand, punching the wall, right? And have her by her throat. How is that even humanly possible?
by this sequence, not my words, your words, Ms. Heard, that you testified to this jury that Mr. Depp smashed the phone to smithereens before he assaulted you. That's the sequencing in which you testified, correct?
I have never testified to a sequence.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This right here is outrageous. This is outrageous. Okay. Remember, I don't know if you are understanding, but when you give testimony, when you say it in a particular way, that's sequencing.
Talking about that sequence. Then on page 4521, starting at line 3, you testified to being bent over backwards on the bar, right?
Okay.
Directing your attention, Ms. Heard, to page 4521, starting at line 3. You testified to being bent over backwards on the bar, right?
That is correct.
And then feeling pressure on your pubic bone like Mr. Depp was punching you. Yes?
That's what I thought.
And then further down on page 4521 and on to 4522, you testified that you were concerned Mr. Depp was using a broken bottle on you. Yes?
That was my fear.
Okay.
That's what I remember feeling.
Ms. Heard, I'm going to show you defendant's exhibit.
Okay. There's this book. It's called El Fierno. It was about the war that happened in El Salvador, and there was one down there in Peru, and women that were grape juiced. And I do remember reading a passage.
Which has already been admitted.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
That's the
You
bottle right
saw
there.
this picture during your direct examination, right?
I did.
And you testified that this is a picture of the bottles that were next to Mr. Depp on a desk when you found him drinking in the morning, right?
That's correct.
And this was the morning after Mr. Depp had allegedly sexually assaulted you, right?
It was the morning after he did assault me. Yes.
And if I understood your testimony correctly, you testified that this is the Maker's Mark bottle that Mr. Depp sexually assaulted you with.
I was never sure it was, but it was definitely that shape. Felt like that shape.
But you testified in this courtroom that you
Again, that speaks a lot to her. There's two bottles, one rectangle and one big, and that bottle is about this size right here. And again, that speaks a lot about her. Oof.
not seen this bottle until Ben King provided these photographs, correct?
And not in the course of the trial. I hadn't seen the photograph.
You claim you had serious injuries after this alleged incident, right, Ms. Heard?
Depends on what you would call serious. For me, having a sore jaw and some bruises.
Gaslighting is not the way to go. Answer the question, Amber. It only just makes you look worse. I don't like it when people do that. Just answer the question.
At the time of my relationship wasn't that serious.
Okay, let's testify. Let's focus on the testimony that you gave about the injuries. Mr. Depp, as you testified yesterday, wears rings on every finger, right?
Sometimes. Often. And certainly in the later part of our relationship, that was more normal than not. But if he's filming or...
Okay. I did a video on this one right here about the bruises that she had and about the rings. And I pulled up her pictures and then compared them with other women that were abused in similar ways. And just check the video out.
And you testified that you bled as a result of this sexual assault, correct?
That is correct.
And you testified that your forearms were cut.
My forearms and my feet.
And your feet were sliced up.
That's correct.
And you testified you had a bruise across your jaw.
That is correct.
And there is not a single medical record reflecting treatment for any of those injuries, is there, Ms. Heard?
I didn't seek treatment.
And the day after you sustained all these injuries, Dr. David Kipper came to the house in Australia, right?
Well, he came the third day, along with security.
The day after you sustained these injuries, Dr. David Kipper came along with Nurse Debbie Lloyd, correct?
Well, that fight went into the morning, like early hour morning, so technically that last day.
Dr. David Kipper.
You notice how she's not, you notice how she's answering the question? It's not directly. She's adding other things to her response when it's simply yes or no. Oh, well, 3 days after, and the security was... What does security have to do with her being checked out by the doctor? Not a thing. Not a thing at all.
Is Mr. Depp's, or was Mr. Depp's physician, right?
I believe he still is.
But he was at the time.
Yes, that's correct.
And he was also your physician.
He also saw me.
No, not saw you. He was your physician, correct, Ms. Heard?
Johnny was the client, but he also treated me.
Mm-hmm. Look, husband and wife, you have a doctor coming to your home to see you. That is your doctor too. My husband and I, we had the same. My ex-husband and I, we had the same doctor. So, oh man.
Let's please pull up. Do you remember giving testimony in this case in a deposition, Ms. Heard?
Yes, I do. I've given a couple.
If we could please pull up the deposition transcript, day 2. At 589, lines 6 through 8. May I approach?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Debbie Lloyd also came to the house, that correct?
540 or 589?
589. lines 6 through 8.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I have no objection, Your Honor.
And he was your doctor at this point, right?
Yes, he was.
Debbie
Lie.
Lloyd also came to the house that day.
So I don't believe
Yes,
her.
she came with Kipper.
Miss Lloyd is a nurse, correct?
That is correct.
Malcolm Connolly also came to the house that day.
Yes, that's correct.
Mr. Connolly is one of the security guards, correct?
That is correct.
You had known Mr. Connolly for years at that point.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I'm going to leave it right there. Okay. This is too much for me. If you were assaulted with a broken bottle and placed in a section of your body where it does not belong, and it's cut and put inside of you, and you're bleeding, and you're going to have glass in certain places, and you never went to the doctor, you would have so many different infections, so many different horrible infections. That's why I don't believe her. I don't believe her because what she says and her her responses to what she said that happened to her and the things that she did not do does not make sense. If you got scratches, cuts on your hands and arms, and you don't go to the doctor to get it cleaned out properly with glass, and you let that go, no, I don't believe it. Somebody takes a bottle and jams it, assaults you with that in a way you should not be assaulted with it, and you don't seek any medical profession at all, I don't believe you. Now you can believe her what you want, right? There's your prerogative, but back to the question: Amber Heard abused or the abuser? I mean, I just showed you just a small, let's say, 10 minutes of this trial and of tweets, people tweeting to me saying that Amber Heard was abused. What do you think?